Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Jake Sanders, and today I'm going to be doing an overview of my CRV that I have built over the past 2 years. It is currently on 34's with about a 6 to 7 inch lift. I haven't measured it, but if my measurements from the spacers and everything are correct, it should be about a 6 or 7 inch. It is sitting on 34-inch BFGs with TRD trail wheels from a 14 4Runner with a 2-inch 5-lug to 6-lug spacer adapter to make those fit. It has a 1990 Land Cruiser Snorkel that I got off eBay for about 60 bucks. Works really well. Gets kind of annoying because all you hear is intake noise all the time. I have a Go Rhino roof rack with some Amazon cheap LED pods up top. And I have some more LED side markers where the original side markers used to go, and those actually work now. I have 93 Integra turn signals with an HID jammed in there. I need to swap it to an LED because it makes the housing kind of hot and it starts to fade and get kind of warm and discolored and stuff, so I need to change that out soon. I have some $60 like eBay headlights, just chrome housing with some LEDs from superbrightleds.com. For the front, I have Qa1 Springs from Summit Racing with a ground control coilover sleeve so I can adjust the height and the preload of it. I flipped the top hats. You can't really see well right there, but I flipped them and I cut and welded the spring perch onto the other side so I could get another inch of lift out of them. It has a 3 1/4 inch spacer on top of that, so the front should be somewhere around more than a 4 1/4 inch lift. Not sure exactly what the springs would give me over stock springs, but that it clears 34's. It still rubs a little bit back here in the corner and right back in here, so all of this is going to get cut out and welded in with new plates to give me more clearance so I can flex out at full lock. Moving forward with the suspension, I have True Hart upper control arms that I flipped upside down to give the control arm a better angle, because before it was really flexed out downwards. I also had to get extended spindles made from the Rose Factory, or Metal Fab Melvin on Instagram. He extended them 5 inches, so when I did my 3-inch engine, transmission, and subframe drop, ignore my blown out bushing, those things are horrible. It would even out the lower control arm with the upper control arm. They're a little bit off right now. I might do a more suspension or more subframe drop to kind of even them out, but it drives good right now. No real issues because of that, because the steering rack comes down with the lower control arm, so there's no bump steer or anything weird like that. It also alleviates axle bind that you get when lifting, because the axle will get tweaked more downward and it will cause it to bind up and give you shake while you're accelerating. So this helps alleviate that, so you don't have any of those issues and break axles all the time. I do have the sway bars deleted, front and rear. I left the end link on there just because the whole sway bar has been removed though. Gave me a little bit more flex, not as much as I wanted. I also had to space down the drive shaft, as you can see, to compensate for the front being dropped down and the rear being dropped down, because the center support bearing cannot have that much angle or articulation, I should say. And after I had done all that, the exhaust was hanging extremely low, so I ended up rigging it up with just random pipes I had laying around and my gasless MIG welder, and making an exhaust that runs over top of the diff, or the drive shaft and subframe and stuff, which before I had a little bit of issue with the drive shaft hitting the exhaust when you would first take off, and the exhaust would swing around, so I ended up having to put some metal hanger or hose clamps on the rubber hanger so it doesn't move as much and it doesn't hit anymore. So I have the same Qa1 spring setup that I have on the front. I have a 450 in the rear and a 550 up front, I believe. And on top of that, I have the flipped, cut, and welded top hats like I had told you up front. basically you just take the top hat that the spring bolts, or that the spring sits on, you flip that upside down, and it'll give you another inch of lift. And then I ended up just cutting the spring perch off the other side, putting it on the other side and welding it back just so the spring didn't slop around in there. And I have a Honda Rescue Garage 5-inch spacer on top of that. To do all of this and keep all of the arms happy, I had to get the Honda Rescue Garage rear camber arm relocation bracket, because the camber arm was stressed so far down and inward just to make it to that point that it was causing really bad death wobble whenever you would hit a bump on the highway. I also have the toe drop bracket from Honda Rescue Garage as well. Let me crawl under my car a little bit, get you a good look at it. It moves the pickup point for the toe arm down about 3 inches, which helped with, again, toe binding. It wasn't as drastic on the toe because it still stays in the same point relative to forward and backward, unlike the rear. But it was stressing the arm out in the other way that I did not want it moving. I have a 3.5-inch trailing arm spacer on right now that you can kind of see right there, to kind of center the rear wheel and the arch. Once you lift them, they start to bring the wheel forward in the arch, as you can see here, like it's happening now with mine. I need to build a 4-inch or more trailing arm spacer to kind of center my rear wheel. It drives perfectly fine as it sits right now. It's just more of an aesthetic thing, and it will bother me if it's not sitting properly in my eyes. So I'll probably be fixing that soon. I also went ahead, I used to have Fender trim on this car like all CRVs have. It goes all the way down to the bumper. Up here it's just like a plastic trim that's probably about 1 inch tall, wraps along the door line and stuff. I trimmed all of that off about 2 years ago, and I just kind of cut the metal right here and just hammered it and folded it inward to just kind of tuck it away. And after a while it started to rust because of course water and mud got in there. So I went ahead and I cut everything back and I re-welded it all together after I poured 15 the inside of it and did all of that like you do. It took quite a long time, but the results came out pretty good. This is all seam sealer, of course. I had to cut out a huge chunk right here that I had hammered in before just to clear the 32's that I had on before the 34's. So I took a huge chunk out of that and then just plated it off with a section of steel that I cut to fit. Then I seam sealed it all up. I internally frame coated it with some green paint that I got through Eastwood, and it did really good. You can see some of it came out right there. I guess I didn't seam seal it up well enough, but that's what the paint's for. And moving on to the back, I have spare mounted, which it actually clears the rear glass. I'll show you that in a minute. Didn't really expect it to, but with the 2-inch spacer on there, I stuck another 8mm spacer on just for good measure, so it didn't rub too much up against the bumper because it just ever so slightly touches it. But yeah, it fits pretty good. I have stock taillights with some taillight guards that one of the parts guys at work had laying in his garage for quite some time, he said. I'm not really sure what brand they are. Someone had told me at some point. I think it was like Polar or something. Not really sure. But so the glass just ever so slightly clears. It's close, but it makes it. So, and of course, typical CRV trunk. I have a singleton, nice little table that comes out. All my spare parts go underneath there for if I break something on the trail. Still has quite a bit of ground clearance, even being independent suspension and having the subframe and engine dropped 3 inches. It has quite a bit of ground clearance, so I should be good for this season. Last season on the 32's with a 2 3/4 inch front lift and a 3 1/4 inch rear lift, I got pretty close to taking out this passenger side side skirt many times with rocks and rock gardens and whatnot. So hopefully I won't have that issue anymore. but we'll come to find that out once we get into this year's season. Now we'll move on to the interior. I have a 1998 CRV, so I have the ugly dashboard. I have an AP1 S2000 steering wheel and a nice Momo shift knob that's probably fake, but I don't care because I like it. I made sure to get the 99 2000 seats out of a pull-apart car. Well, mini pull-apart cars. It took me a while to find a good set from each one, but I have both driver and passenger side armrests so no one steals my armrest while we're on the highway cruising. I have a wonderful $80 radio from eBay. Took 2 weeks to get here from China, but it's my favorite part of the car. Has navigation, has Bluetooth. You can go on YouTube, Hulu, whatever you want to do. That's actually my miles an hour because this gauge is extremely inaccurate with 34's on it, so that is what tells me how fast I'm going at this point. The doors on this car are actually removable. Well, only the front. I drilled out the door pins and I put carriage pins in. So all you have to do is unplug that one connector down there, undo that one, slide the bottom one out, and you can just pull the door off. I have foot pegs that I've built for it to slide in the bottom, and I have mirrors from a Jeep that go into the side so I can still see and I don't get pulled over and given any issues from any law enforcement or anything like that, because you can technically do this as long as you have mirrors in North Carolina. So as long as you have 2 mirrors, then you're good to go. Oh, and I've heard in South Carolina you have to have like a siding to your floor so nothing rolls out, but CRVs have that, so you're good. I did wrap the headliner in black fabric, and I put my switch panel up here for all of the lights that are all around the car. I guess I'll go ahead and show you guys all of the lights. So I'm not going to turn on the HIDs because, like I said, they get hot and kind of mess up the housings, so I switched to LEDs. I turn them on while we're driving, but that has air movement, so I feel like it's better for them. But who knows? I have the side lights, both front and rear. I have the upper lights right there. And then inside here I have rock lights everywhere underneath the whole car. Makes it really convenient when you're working on it at night and you don't have to hold a flashlight at all. It's also just nice if you're on a trail. You don't have to worry about what you're about to run over because you can see it. I guess we can go ahead and show the engine bay at this point. It's pretty disgusting, but it works for what it is. So this is the engine bay of the CRV. It's pretty disgusting at this point, honestly. A new engine will be going in it quite soon because I stripped out, I left cylinder 3 loose, the spark plug on cylinder 3 loose, and it ruined the threads for the spark plug hole. So instead of just throwing my spare B20 head on it, I'm gonna build a non-VTEC P8R high compression turbo B20 to put in here and make a little bit more low end torque to actually spin these things. But talking about it currently, it has just your Amazon inline filter that comes with this disgusting hose, which I'll be swapping out once everything else is done because this will be needing to go down here to feed a turbo. But it feeds into the Land Cruiser Snorkel and works pretty well. Makes lots of noises, it gets pretty annoying on the highway, but it's cool, I guess. As all of my wires ran up there, all red, doesn't really matter, color blend anyways. All the relays and fuses are inside under the dash or tucked away in the headliner somewhere. So that's pretty much it. It's been a good little daily. Plan to keep doing things to it and making it bigger and more capable to do off-road things. But yeah, if you guys want to see anything else of all of the stuff that's to follow with this, I'll be making a video of cutting up the front wheel wells, kind of like I did with the backs. I'll see if I can overlay some video in here for what I did for the back so you can kind of see what I'll be doing to the fronts here soon. I'm also going to be removing the rooftop basket and building a platform up there. I'm not sure if I'll keep the factory roof rack harness or roof rack mounts or whatever, or if I'll just build a platform all independently, but I will be doing that soon so I can mount a rooftop tent to it. I don't plan on getting a rooftop tent anytime soon, honestly, but I'd like to have the platform up there because I don't really need the basket, especially since it's keeping me from making it into my garage where I can park this thing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that and build a rack up there myself. If you like the CRV and you want to follow along with the build, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, and do whatever you got to do. And follow along because I'll be posting more videos about the CRV, some drift vents, probably street drifting maybe, some off-roading, camping, stuff like that. Also, I have an Integra build that's got a high compression NA K-series that should make somewhere around the 300 range. I'm going to put it on E85 and throw some nitrous at it too. But I'll do some videos on that here soon. So go ahead and subscribe, stay tuned, and I will see you guys later. See ya.